G'day, legends. It's a very special time of the year, one of my favourite times of the year. The next mate, I will say, and this might be overstepping the mark, but we've been mates for over a decade now. I met this mate, in the mid-2010s. Now, this person might not remember doing this, but we're mutual comedians talking to each other. I saw this person do an incredible own Max Watts Theatre in Melbourne. And one day he walked up to me and said, "G'day, brother," and gave me a nipple cripple on the street. Now, that was a decade ago. Little did I... One day, this mate, I'm following him on Instagram, occasionally chat, good stuff, how you going? And then one day, he puts up, "My son is just got picked up by a footy team." And it happened to be my footy team. And I went... What are you talking about? And he said his name's Kozzy Pickett. And so I've been watching. He's all of a sudden he's been drenched in Melbourne gear for the past decade. We saw each other at the gala, and you were just head to toe in Melbourne gear. A proud father. And you've most recently designed the Melbourne 2025 Sir Doug Nicholls Round Guernseys. My mate is Kevin Kropinyeri.
G'day, brother Brodes. How are you?
Now, a special treat as well that you've just brought along.
Dragged along.
Can I just say, birds of a feather flock together?
I'm head of security.
So, an iconic... I would have had you on, like, regardless another time, but I've got you for free today, it feels
buy
like.
one, get one free.
Yeah. An iconic Australian TV show in the footy world for this century, and even maybe this century into maybe...
I was on radio before TV.
See, this is getting into information. A host of the Marngrook Footy Show, Grant Hansen, is joining us as well. So just walking around with
Good to be
Kev
here.
in the city of Melbourne.
I'm actually curious about your breast. Have you still got a bruise there?
He bruised my
Kev
nipple.
doesn't know how strong he is half the time.
You genuinely bruised my... Do you remember doing that?
Oh, my brother. From the bottom of my heart, and my name's Kevin Kropinyeri, not Kevin Rudd, but I am sorry. I am sorry, my brother. You know I love you. Love you and the lads, you know. You're doing the great things up here, Brodes, and always been a big fan, and just all the great stuff that you're going from, and just I love seeing people shine, and seeing you shine the way you are, and what you're doing is amazing. So
good on you, mate. And like I could say likewise, I didn't know you were such a good artist, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But you said off air that you remember when we met. Did you? Is that true?
Do you remember where we met?
I just remember the nipple cripple.
Okay. We done a gig at Trades Hall.
Oh, did we?
And your brother was on that night too.
Oh, right.
And
I wonder who it was.
And that's the first time I got to meet, because I was just kind of coming into the mainstream comedy world after doing all these blackfella gigs all over around Australia, and then breaking into the mainstream comedy world, and then just starting to get to meet people.
Yeah.
And learning my feet and what's funny for non-Indigenous to from Indigenous comedy. Like, it's a different world, bruv. And excuse me. And it was good. It was a good night, and I just remember you being real super friendly and funny.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, and so I thought,
Good to be funny for a comedian.
Yeah.
That helps.
Oh, it helps. It helps if you're not. Yeah, well, you're in the wrong, wrong genre. But I just remembered that night, and I was like, oh yeah, always remember you. Then, Auntie Donna started to go through the roof, and it was amazing to see that, and then seeing you guys host a gala. Amazing.
Oh, you were on that night?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think you said Kozzy's watching. I was like, oh, God. I was like, it was to like 2,500 people there, and I thought, I'm so embarrassed that Kozzy's But so...
Yeah, he came that night. Yeah, he came that night, yeah.
He'd just been drafted, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been lovely to see everything that you're doing as well, mate, and you are constantly on the go. You are one of the funniest... I was Max Watts during Comedy Festival. There's a room called the Festival Club.
Yeah.
And you got up one night and you did a whole bit that I hadn't seen before about... you were the girls on the dance floor, the sisters at the dance floor.
Dancing with their face, because they don't even need to be on the dance floor to be dancing. When that music starts, they dance with their face, and then boom, in comes in Everybody Dance from Chic.
Yeah, right.
But they're all true stories. Like, I'm sitting back watching my old aunties and my cousins are like, look at the face, like they're dancing with their face, and they're biting their tongues and closing their eyes, and and they moving their lips around, and I was like, look at that, funny. And then I muck around. I was like, this is only Laura at the dance the other night, and I was telling all my cousins, they're all laughing, and dance with one eye and that, and had all the lads laughing, and they're like, you should do that on stage. And I was like, yeah, obviously, as you know, you have an idea, then you got to go and perfect it,
Figure it out.
get it right, find the right song, and then that's what happened. And now I always open up a show with a big boom like that, and using music, getting people clapping, engaged, and yeah.
When did you start doing comedy?
I started back in 2008.
Oh, yeah, you see you're an old hand. Absolutely, 17 years or so.
Yeah, 2008, I won Deadly Funny.
Did you really win Deadly Funny?
Yeah, so I won
that's the Indigenous award for like the raw comedy for Indigenous comedians.
Yeah, and I came on a wild card from South Australian Heat, and it's funny. All I did was what do you call it? A bucket list. Just do a bucket list, get up, do comedy, because all my cousins said, you need to be doing comedy, you're that funny. I'd always be the love for the party, have people crying around when we're having a few drinks.
Just having a crack.
Stop, can't breathe, blah, 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 do comedy. It was my family and friends that pushed me into this competition, and I got this email 20 times sent to me from family and friends saying, go in this competition, you'll win it. And at the time, it was only the second year around. And I went in it, done it, ticked the box. My kids were freaking out. You're going to make us shame. Don't go up there. And, no, Dad. They were trying to beg me, get out of there. Now they're loving the money. Hey, Dad. They spelled Dad ATM, by the way. You know? Yeah. And I said, yeah. And don't do it. You're going to make us shame. And I went in it. I done well. And I got a wild card to come to the national final. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just do it. And then I got to work with the amazing Rachel Berger.
Yep.
Old hand, and she's, I say that with respect, old, because in our culture, old is a term of endearment and love and respect. And she's a legend, going right back to the Bert Newton shows, and she worked my act, and I was polished up just a touch better for the grand final, and I end up winning it.
And the rest is history, mate.
Yeah, just one thing led into another, and you know, you just be grateful and stay humble, keep working hard. You know, be a good bloke, and just try and keep pushing through, and you know, doors keep opening, like little things like today. How opportune was today?
I was going to say, you embarrassed your kids when you started doing stand-up comedy. When's the last time you embarrassed one of your kids doing stand-up? Was it earlier today?
It was today. I have a joke, and Kozzy is a very quiet individual. I love you, my son, and but with family and friends, he's a very funny man. He's a bit of a practical joker, and because I get that, I can see him getting a little bit. He goes, "Don't go talking too much about me today, okay?"
Right, so you were speaking to the team today, right?
Yeah, to the team. So I had the lads. I mean, Grant was there. He's seen it. Had the lad.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome, and the players laughed hard, and were looking at each other like to see whether it was safe to laugh for some of the content that Kev was talking about, and Kev wowed the room, and it was a great day. It was really good. Yeah,
and I think we could say this on here, but I was like, because everyone gets mixed up, because Kozzy's his real name is Kozzy Kropinyeri Pickett, so he's got a hyphenated name, and I get sick of spelling my name too. So he was, why doesn't he have Kropinyeri? I said, if you always ring up saying K-R-O, P for Peter, I-N for Nelly.
Well, lucky you had the name on the back of the jumper, because it wouldn't fit, would it?
Nah. So for me, it's neither here or there, but, you know, like his birth certificate, his driver's license, passport is all Kropinyeri Pickett. It doesn't really bother me, but for me, everyone was coming up, and this is because I get on really good with the Picketts. I'm pretty blessed. To all the beautiful Pickett family out there, I love you very much. And I still get on good with them all today, and everyone would get mixed up and say, he's Byron's son. I said, no, he comes from my ball bags. He comes from my ball bags.
Even the ladies laughed.
I don't give up my son Kozzy Pickett. He comes from my ball bags. I've got good little swimmers. They're swimming around on the MCG, kicking 5 goals now. You know, but and I got this joke where I talked about how they get mixed up between me and Byron, who's the father, and Byron is another father to him, and much love to my old brother-in-law. Yeah.
Did you hit hard like Byron does and Koz does?
Well, I'll let my family tell you how I played footy, because I did play pretty hard. Yeah.
You're hard hitters. It seemed like a low centre of gravity or something. When you hit someone, they get bloody hit. My dear old coach, Colin Schwarter, love ya. He was one of my, and then the old
Burnsy from Manham Football Club. Had some really good coaches, and I was a troubled fella. Found my healing when at the age of 30, but I could play footy, but I was a troubled young man. So whether I was going to rock up on a Saturday was a mystery to everybody.
I like the yarn about when you played at West Torrens with the other couple of guys that you talked about today.
Oh yeah.
Go on then.
You have to share that.
Yeah. It's a funny one. I'd done a pre-season with Westies and my cousin Eddie Hocking.
West Torrens and
West Adelaide.
Yeah.
And so basically the joke is I was there when Matty Nix was playing and Tyson Edward True. So Matty got drafted to Sydney, and Tyson went to Adelaide, and I'd already done pre-season, played a couple of trial matches, and then I went and had a bit of, as we say in our Aboriginal way, went and had some holidays. So went and had some holidays. So I was 2 years best and fairest on the inside. That's a joke. But no, it's been a really good.
How did you two meet?
That's a good question, because I first met Kevin in Sydney at Newtown. He was on the run, not from jail, I think from one of his ex-wives, but that's when I first met him, and he approached me, and we had a bit of a yarn. And a couple of weeks later he rang me up, and we had another chat just about the industry and whether there's anything he could do on Marngrook, and I kept that in mind. And it took a few years later, there was an opportunity for Kev to come and work on Marngrook, doing around the grounds, which required someone to be naturally funny, and which Kev was. And so Kev worked for a few years on the Marngrook Footy Show doing around the grounds, which he done exceptionally well. So. But just, like you used to, when you first met, you hit it off together, and me and Kev hit it off, and then one night I realised that he was married to me cousin, so I didn't even know, So, it's a small world,
I think we've got a younger audience who might not remember Marngrook. Can you tell us about the story, I'm sure it's a longer story, but the story of how Marngrook started and what it was and what it did for the community? Yeah,
I first started doing it at 3CR, community radio station, for 12 years. The last 5 years of doing Marngrook at 3CR, I worked with Terry Wheeler and Sam Pang. Sam Pang was my understudy. And
he went on to do nothing.
And Sam, he went on, he's not even really funny, but anyway. I'm sure Sam will appreciate that. You're not funny, Sam. If you're listening, you're not funny. But you're making money, so good on you, son. And so... SBS and NITV came into formation. They heard about the Marngrook Footy Show. They wanted to do an AFL show. So one of these CEOs came down and had a look at the show live and loved it and said, would you like to make it as a TV show? And I said, that was my goal. 12 years later, anyone used to think I was an idiot for going every Thursday doing this show and not getting paid and all that sort of stuff. But so it took off on television, and the rest is basically history. But you see a lot of the crew that went through Marngrook now working on mainstream television. Sean Burgoyne, Wayne Carey, Abby Holmes, Chris Johnson, the list goes on and on. So we became a stable basically to the mainstream TV industry. A lot of people from Marngrook have gone on to, as I say, bigger and better things.
I used to watch it and think it was a more friendly footy show is how I used to think about it just as a consumer. I remember footy players felt more comfortable on there. Like whether they were Indigenous players or not, they felt more happy and more open to talk about. There was a more relaxed feeling to the show.
It's a bit like if I invited you over to my house for dinner, I wouldn't try and bag you or make you feel uncomfortable. So we always appreciated that they gave up their time to come on the show. And plus we just wanted to be light-natured and just talk about things that you probably don't know about the players and let them stay on the panel and discuss a game or two. And I think we're always about being respectful to the players. And plus we're just an old-fashioned footy show. Thursday nights people wanted to know who's in, who's out, who's going to win and why. And that was and a bit of music obviously at the end of the show. And then we had people like Kev doing around the grounds, and there's a lot of good guests over the years that we had, some of the biggest names in football. So for people like us, and particularly me and Kev that never played at the highest level, how awesome it was to have people like Jim Steins on the show, and Kevin Bartlett's on the panel, Robert Walls is on the panel, and all these great ex-players and Indigenous stars from the past, Stephen Michaels and the Crackers, and it was just like a circus. It was such a great feeling to be able to work with all that mob. But like all good things, it's like having a good girlfriend. Eventually it runs out, it comes to a conclusion. And 13 years doing television, that was a pretty good run.
Yeah, fair enough.
Considering most shows only go about 4 years. So
it's had its legacy.
Fortunate.
Its legacy lives on.
Well, the word Marngrook was never known till I started doing the radio show and the footy show. Now there's the Marngrook Cup and there's the Marngrook this, the Marngrook that, and now everyone's an expert on Marngrook all of a sudden. But without the Marngrook Footy Show and without me doing it, the main Marngrook wouldn't even be talked about.
That's a really good point. I never thought of that.
And the origin of the Marngrook, could you... it's the language from Gunditjmara, right?
Yeah, it's it was a game. It was documented as being played down in the Western Districts, but there was incidents of it being played in Melbourne and overseas and white people drawing the game of Marngrook down at Warrandyte. So there was other areas that played Marngrook, but the word Marngrook is from the Western Districts, which means game ball or football, as we so to speak. But there was always this confusion about, is Aussie rules Marngrook or is Marngrook Aussie rules, and how did that come about? And what we say is that the kicking style and the marking and all that came from the Indigenous game Marngrook, because Tom Wills grew up with Indigenous people in Ararat and he played Marngrook as a young kid. So he learnt how to mark a ball, which mulmark means catch, and the kicking style he learnt from the Indigenous players. So when he formed this game with his two cousins, he actually... there was a blending of all the different games, rugby, Gaelic football, and he brought that style into the thing. So there's the traits of Marngrook that we see in Australian rules football. So it's not really the exact game of Marngrook with some of the kicking traits and the marking there. And it's in the print of the game, and that's why all our mob, and particularly someone like Kev's son, who's such a star of the game and makes the hard thing look really easy. And people go to watch those sort of superstars that are playing.
Grant, Kev, do you love footy, or do you still love footy, and what do you love about footy?
I haven't been to a game since before COVID, since I finished the show, and I think the game sort of lost its way a little bit, and I think it's the same game that I grew up watching. Yeah. I don't like the over-umpiring. I think the umpiring's terrible.
Can we talk about the trip?
And the broadcasting. And the broadcasting is terrible, both on radio and TV, so it's just gone backwards a little bit, I reckon.
Yeah, and... that's fair enough. That's what you got to do as well. At some stage, you got to go. It used to be better. That's fair enough. I've got
a bit like me and Kevin our younger days. Yeah. We were good, but now we're not so good.
Did you see the trip?
What can you say? I was like, if I could reach through that TV and flog the umpire with a wet pillow. Because I tell you what, the funny how we got that wet pillow yarn, because we were having pillow fights in my auntie's house, my mum's older sister, and get outside and play with them pillows, but it's like 35 outside and the sprinkler's going, so we start out there having pillow fights, and eventually those pillows get wetter and heavier, and before you know, little black fellas getting smashed all over the front lawn with a wet pillow.
Does that hurt more to get hit with a wet pillow, or is it nicer?
Look, it's just as dangerous as a rolled-up telephone book in a jail cell.
Oh, okay, good to know. Yeah. I've not experienced that one.
It's a joke. It's a joke. But
my brother and I used to have shoe wars where we get every shoe in the house, and then we'd set up a barricade like a trench, and then piff shoes at each other from one side of the lounge room to the other.
That's funny.
And put holes through the walls and things like that. But then, the bigger the Doc Marten or a heel shoe was always the best.
Whoa.
Do you like footy still, Kevin?
I love footy, and I'm still a mad Norwood fan from South Australia.
Right.
And I love football. Kind of been a bit of a thing, when my cousin got involved with Eddie Hocking, the Scud missile, went to, inaugural team of the Crows.
He was electric when he first started. Adelaide Crows on TV, and the little Scud missile, he was unbelievable, wasn't he?
5'4".
He's sort of like a shooting star. He started off really big, and a couple of years later, he was gone.
5'4"?
Yeah.
Great bloke, too.
Man, can play.
So how tall's 5'4"? That's...
Just below 5'5".
Around that big.
Isaiah Dudley playing for Freo now, or Wallaloop, is 168 and is the smallest player in the league now.
Who's that?
Isaiah Dudley.
Oh, okay.
Which is
what's like Caleb Daniel? He's a pretty tiny
which is family also too.
Yeah.
His grandmother's
He's a gun.
Cousin, and he's a good young man. I don't know the lad, but I know his grandmother, and we are Kozzy and Isaiah. They're all related. We're all related, So, height. I think what I love about this game that you could be 6'5" and dominate, and you could be 5'5" and dominate. And it's not. I mean, tall helps, but You know, if
It's
you've
one
got
game that fits all sizes.
Really, it truly does. Like a Dudley or a Nick Watson can come in, and I can't believe. Like you look at them on the field and you go, they look like a little lost kid, and then somehow will kick 3 against Max Gawn or Sean Darcy in the team. It's actually mind blowing how it happens. It is. There's a democracy to it. If you're good enough, you're an icon.
Isn't it amazing how much of a religion football is? I don't know about in Adelaide, but I imagine the same. But
it is,
in Melbourne, I've been to Sydney many times over the years as a musician, and I hardly ever hear anyone talking about NRL or walk into a house and see any photos. When you go to Melbourne, houses are decked out in their club colours, and they're all talking about the footy. And the first question is, "Who do you barrack for?" And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're born into a club down here. Like I was born into the Footscray club because my dad. So I don't have a choice. You're born into it, and all of a sudden you're wearing red, white, and blue. I know what it's like in Adelaide.
Yeah, I mean, I was, so proud of my son as a junior, like watching him play at the age of 13, and like this kid's something special. Yeah. And then watch him, and then like, hey, he's getting...
Is that from the Pickett side or the Kropinyeri side?
Well, I'll let the Picketts will claim that, and I love his
all your name.
Follow,
name.
But a lot of people on my side, they'll. I don't like to say nothing because I've carved my name in comedy and art, but I come from a sporting background, but I was never. You can see a little elements of how I used to play, and that's my family talking. Yeah. But not taking away from the love that I have for the Picketts. I mean, that's just AFL royalty there. Yeah.
So you are, as you said, you're a talented in the art world as well. So I couldn't believe it, but you've done the Dees Guernsey this year.
Yeah, bro.
Tell us about it.
Well, I first of all, there was an opportunity that in conversation that in the club, there's opportunity. I was talking to the club about doing the Guernsey, but I didn't want to overstep and come in a son's world. I'd look, hey, mate, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity that I can do the Guernsey next year. How would you feel about that? Because, if you don't feel comfortable about it, me coming into your world, I respect that. And he goes, no, Dad, that'd be deadly, Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then when it was all negotiated and everything come around, and thank you to the Melbourne Football Club, love you guys, and thank you to Matty Whelan at the Footy Club who...
what a gun. Talk about someone who could... You remember that time he hit Hurd that time?
Yeah.
Cleaned his clock.
Yeah. Matty Whelan's an awesome person.
He's a top bloke, and he loves the Melbourne Footy Club. And so talked to Matty Whelan, and the deal was signed, and then I started the process of bringing it together, and I didn't want to steer away from the Melbourne faithful.
Right.
I didn't want to I didn't want to take it away. I wanted to still from a distance. It looks like a Melbourne Guernsey, and so for me, so weaving's got weaving elements in it, and a shield element, and so from that, I got one of our old shields from the South Australian Museum and seen the design of it, and I was like, wow, that zigzag and the notches, and so I got a bit of a thing. I might just quickly read it out.
Yeah, please do.
What about the hearts you're talking about today as well? I thought that was great about the connection.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was like the older I get as a person, the less colour I see, and I was thinking what football does, in particular, I'm going to focus on the Melbourne Football Club. It is. The weaving is intricate. It's the intertwining, bringing things together, and for me, it was like that's what the Melbourne Football Club has brought people from all walks of life.
That's a nice thought.
Together, and their love for their football club is what we have in passion, and so I wanted to do something that was one for our people, but also for our Melbourne fan base, and so I can read it out. If you
please,
like.
Mate, please, absolutely.
And paid your bill, Kev.
Yeah. Bless.
With Telstra, what's going on?
Yeah. It goes, the shield represents our traditional warriors, right? So prior to colonisation, in the middle, the shield represents our traditional warriors. The shield symbolises divine protection, faith, and resilience. And our footballers are modern-day warriors now in this game that we all love. The shield... It symbolises the past, present and future footballers / warriors of the Melbourne Football Club. And the weaving is a very important and wonderful tradition of the Ngarrindjeri Nation. But not only the Ngarrindjeri Nation, Aboriginal people and other traditional First Nations people around the world.
Is that Ngarrindjeri?
Ngarrindjeri.
Ngarrindjeri, is that your...
NG.
Right.
Ngarrindjeri. Yeah, so that...
Should I try again?
Yeah.
So sing...
Sing, Lana...
Ngarrindjeri.
Ngarrindjeri.
Oh, my brother, yes.
You got it.
Next, you got to do that in blackface for me.
Oh, that might take some time. I'll have a think about that one.
The process of weaving is the way our old people used to sit down, and these mats could be as big as this room. So they take long times to weave, but what happens around the process of weaving is the sharing of stories, and our young women predominantly, but men would weave too.
Yeah.
And sharing knowledge and bringing people together. Weaving has been passed down from our ancestors and currently to this day continues to connect people. The element of weaving designed on this Guernsey symbolises the love of the Melbourne Football Club. This love and passion for the club has connected people together from all walks of life. Every patron, every staff, player, sponsor and fan are interconnected and intricately woven together through their love of the Melbourne Football Club. This is what makes this club so good and strong for over 160 years. That is what the weaving design represents. And the Ngarrindjeri don't have a traditional word for every, but we've got a traditional word for all. So as you can see on the front, there's some text. Mm-hmm. And the text says, Nam miwi winaman cultural prolan ambi ngama tamalan ambi. And in Ngarrindjeri, that means all hearts beat true for the red and the blue.
Great.
Yeah,
Well,
all
the red
hearts.
and the blue.
And this is when I got to present the Guernsey to the players today. I said, it's not even about black and white. The older I get, the less colour I see. And this love of the game that we have is just amazing, and it's brought so many people together. And you're at the game, and unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted against Carlton in the prelim. I had to go into the prelim.
Yeah.
But Son had a great game that night.
Oh, yeah.
And watching 97,000 people screaming, he played so good, and I was like, wow, that's my lad out there,
How cool.
And it was amazing. So I see how much he's loved by his own people, but also non-Indigenous people from all walks of football clubs too. And he's a blessed young man, and he's a humble young man, and I'm so proud to see what he's doing out there.
Well, that comes through profoundly, but then also everything you've just said about this Guernsey is so eloquently put, and so it makes it feel, that basket element is just so particularly fantastic.
Yeah.
I really love that. So this weekend is the start of Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? What do you think? What would you like it to represent, and where could it go? And you know what I mean?
Oh, sometimes you just put your love and passion onto whether it's on the footy field or into the artwork or into your comedy, and it opens doors for itself. Yeah. And you look at your humble beginnings and where you've come and the great amazing things you've achieved, Broden. If you could look back 10, 15 years ago and look where you are today, what amazing.
Oh no, it's the best.
So these things kind of just, you put your love and passion out there, doors will naturally open. I always, I'm pretty spiritual follower too, so I always say, don't hold on to unforgiveness. Let it go. I mean, you're allowed to stay angry. You're allowed to stay unforgiving. Go to unforgiving city. Stay there for 4 weeks and party up, but don't plan to move there.
I love that.
So get out of town, get back, hit the reset button, and keep moving forward with your love and passion. And I believe if you're walking in love, you walk in power, and then also that'll bring... it'll bring good things to you, and God, I just mentioned this too because I was up in Bundaberg yesterday performing.
You were driving here from
and so when you was texting me, I was driving back from Bundy.
Pulled over, of course. Yeah,
absolutely. And
hands free.
And I said that was an opportunity. I said, hey, bros, I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
I'm going to be there, and it just worked that I fly out tomorrow. So this is what I'm talking about. all those little things like that.
Synchronicity?
Yeah. You know, and then, you know, bring up brother. I said, brother, I've got to go for here. Would you like to come along? And Grant comes along, and, you know, he's one of my good mates and one of my best brothers. And he picks me up, and we go out there and spend a great day and have a nice meal and come back and get to hang out with you and do this amazing stuff with you, bro. And
hell yeah, mate.
Yeah, so I just, you know, love where life is at the moment. And, you know, stay humble, keep working hard.
Oh, mate. Well, this has been an absolutely wonderful chat. Congratulations on this, Guns. Just looking at the back as well, looking at the players who've played for Melbourne, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander players, just gun after gun after gun. I love all of these players, from Liam Jurra, Wanamiri, Jamie Bennell, all but Jeff Farmer.
Yeah, the Wiz.
To Kozzy down here. It's a great lineage, I love the Guernsey. You've both brought so much to this week. I'm so rapt that we could make it work.
Thanks for having us, Broads, man.
Enjoy the footy this weekend. I'll have you back sometime as well.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. I'll let you know. And, so they play against Brizzy this week.
Yeah, rough.
So that's going to be go against.
Considering they drew against North Melbourne, they're every chance, aren't they?
Shit, everyone is now.
Yeah, so Brisbane this weekend, they get to run out in the Guernsey, and then next week,
Swannies as well, yeah.
Next Sunday, the 25th.
Oh.
So I'm looking at that, but I've got I'm bouncing all over the country until then.
Yeah, you're in demand, mate.
Yeah, so it's starting to.
It's a lot of people you got to make
on the run.
Yeah, hey. Nah, it's good. It's I just and when you asked me to come on board, it just made sense, and love supporting what you're doing too, bros, and. Yeah, big love to everyone out there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you'll get the love back. Give Kev and Grant, if you're on socials, a follow on Instagram. He does funny stuff.
Yeah, so you can catch me on Kev Crop, one word, Kev Crop Official.
And if he's in a town near you, it's an absolute must see. Yeah, whether you're doing a variety night with other people or you're by yourself, you're doing an hour. It's I'm sure the Melbourne Football Club will put up you making everyone laugh today. I'm sure they filmed it.
They did.
Yeah, it was a good.
It was great. It was awesome.
Awesome, mate.
Yeah, all right. It was a good day today, and had the lads crying. Clayton Oliver was losing it.
Do you remember your biggest pop, your biggest laugh you got?
I think I haven't done a joke. You know, you get them jokes that absolutely people know you for.
Sure.
And then you're like, if I have to do another one of those jokes, I'm going to stab myself in the throat. So you leave the joke. And I've done a joke that I kind of made me famous through all Aboriginal Australia. So no matter where I go in Aboriginal Australia, Broom, Cairns, black fellas are always yelling out and quoting my jokes, right? So so I brought back this one joke I haven't done in over 10 years.
Oh, let's hear it.
So it went off. And
I think
don't pump it up
now.
too much. Yeah,
do it now.
Do it now. Yeah.
Oh, look, I'll do the quick condensed version. So basically, I developed this joke, and I thought it was funny. The ex at the time thought, not feeling it. Ended up being one of my flagship jokes. So, lived in Victoria for 16 years. So the ex was, I talk about how I met her, and there's a bit of truth and a little bit of comedy in that, comedy around it.
Sure.
So she's from Victoria. So she drinks that Victoria bitter. Now, she's very articulate when she speaks, but when she's charged up and had a few drinks, she sounds like a real proper black woman, straight off the mission, right? And because she's from Victoria, she's drink that Victoria bitter, that VB. But when she's drinking that VB, her V's will turn into B's. Because the first time she walked up to me in the club, she was like, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's Kevin." She goes, "Ooh, Kevin, you lovely." And I'm black and underbone, and I love you long time. I said, hey, pull up, sister girl, pull up. Let me buy you a drink first. What you drinking? She reckon, B. And then what I did, right, is I got the old VB sting.
Yeah, yep. Dun, 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 dun.
And then I go, and so in the proper show where I got sound and tech, it goes, could you imagine it on the old VB adverts? It'll go something like this, and that's the cue to drop the song. Bum, 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 You can get it lobbing your man. You can get it flogging your man too when he been running around on you. You can get it having a row. Well, matter of fact, I got it now. For the hard day's thirsty, the big cold beer, and the best cold beer is Bic, Victoria Bitter. And then it goes da 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 da, finishes, and then I go B, and then the crowd just erupts.
Oh yeah.
And I done it up in the Brizzy Comedy Festival, and we sold out in the Pleasure Dome, and it was just chockers and like, whoa, you know, the roar and the laughter and the claps, and it was like, and Wes Snelling, our producer, director, like he'd never seen that joke before. And I said, Wes, that's one of my old jokes. It's amazing. I love it.
A goodie.
Yeah, you know, I said, yes, I've kind of brought that back around again.
Beauty.
So,
well, I'm glad we got to get some Kev gear on this. This is good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it there, but thank you so much for coming in, gents. And if you're listening, enjoy the footy this week.
Thanks, Paddy. You're doing a great job
Paddy
over there.
Court, yeah.
And appreciate you having us, bro.
Yeah,
Bounce that pill.
This is a Grouse House podcast.